Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And like I promised in my last video about the Halloween movies, this time I'm going to be discussing a movie series that I actually did like. And I know it was going to sound weird, but I actually have fond memories of watching on television. And that's, of course, is the Friday the 13th movie series. And of course, those of you who don't know, the Friday the 13th series, at least from my generation, we either liked either Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Halloween, well, there were some kids who liked Halloween too, but you know, Halloween, like I said in my Halloween review, Halloween was really the first, when Michael Myers was really the first real crazy movie serial killer, was no matter what you do to this character, the character would never die and somehow will miraculously come back to life and start killing again. Well, Friday the 13th took that concept and tried to one up it, because I think Friday the 13th has the longest of the three main killer stories. Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and Friday the 13th has the most movies. I think it has 10 or 11 movies in it, in that particular series, which is a hell of a lot more than Halloween. Halloween had, on the original one, had maybe like 6 films. And of course, they added 4 more, so it does come up to 10 if you count 8 Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, and the 2 zombie remakes. It does come up to 10, but I'm talking about the original franchise was only like 6 films, and not all these reboots. On Friday the 13th, you never really had a reboot of Friday the 13th. I think with Nightmare on Elm Street, I think they had a reboot for Friday the 13th. Not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. But anyway, for Friday the 13th, for those who don't know, the very first Friday the 13th movie, which came out in 1980, did not have Jason Voorhees as the killer. It was actually Jason Voorhees' mother. I know I'm giving it away, spoiler, but Jason Voorhees' mother was the killer in the original movie, and then the rest of the series was Jason through all the rest of the movies. In the first movie, the reason why the mother was starting, Jason Voorhees' mother was killing all these campers, was the premise of the movies, or the first Friday the 13th film, was there was this camp, a sleepaway camp, called Camp Crystal Lake, which is on Crystal Lake, in the middle of the woods. I don't even know which state it was in. I don't remember which one it was in. And as soon as that happens, his camp council is trying to clean up the place before they could reopen it for business. And the councils were getting killed off one by one. And then eventually the last camp council standing for it, because a lot of people thought it was maybe the rumor of this Jason character, because that's why the camp was closed down to begin with, because there was this kid who drowned in the lake, and the campers didn't, or the camp counselors didn't save this kid's life. And actually, of course, it was the rumor there was this kid who came back from the grave, so to speak, and started killing his counselors. Meanwhile, it wasn't. It was his mother, and his mother was alive and well. It wasn't some spirit or demon or whatever. And started killing his counselors because out of revenge for her son drowning in the lake, because she felt that a lot of the camp counselors, like you would see in the movie, they had having sex with each other and not properly supervising the the kids, and that's how her kid drowned, because all the counselors were busy too busy screwing each other and not supervising the kids, and if they did, the child would still be alive. Jason would still be alive. And of course, at the end of the film, the mother does get killed, and the lone survivor, after having this big fight scene with the mother, goes down in the lake, and something grabs her out of the lake. And of course, we know who that was. It was Jason who was in the lake. And she told us, actually, she was eventually found but she was killed in the second film. And told her, oh, what was that in the lake? And actually, of course, a bit of a mystery who was in the lake, but it was pretty obvious who it was. And then, but almost that movie became successful because it came after Halloween, which came out 2 years earlier, in the original Halloween film. And it didn't make Halloween 2 yet, because it didn't come out until 1981. So they capitalized on what Halloween did, and Friday the 13th became a hit almost overnight, almost right away. Unlike Halloween, which took a few weeks because of word of mouth, that became a successful movie and eventually a okay franchise. But with Friday the 13th, because it almost copied Halloween, they have these crazy killers and never dies. But Jason Voorhees' mother died and she never came back, but Jason always did. And by the third film, actually, of course, the first movie that we didn't really see Jason until the scene that I mentioned when he comes out of the lake. The second one, you did see him, but you never really saw his face. The third film, of course, they do kind of in this series, Friday the 13th series, which you never really see. Well, the Halloween films kind of did that too, where it picks up from where the last film left off, and which I kind of like as a movie fan. If you have a particular movie series, no matter which one it is, it's always good to pick up. If you have a sequel, it'll pick up from where the previous movie left off, which I feel kind of works because at least it's in a series, a particular series of films. But naturally, of course, the more Friday the 13th movies were made, the worse the movies were getting. And because it was getting ridiculous, because you said, oh, how people are stupid enough to buy tickets. I never did. But I always caught the movies on television, because every time it was a Friday the 13th that came up, almost a whole week, that's when more channels were independent stations. And were linked to, let's say, the Fox Network or UPN or My Network TV or CW or the old WB Network, so they could show Friday the 13th movies during the week leading up to Friday the 13th. Which one of the stations did. The station that became the flagship station of the Fox Network here in New York, Channel 5, used to show Halloween the Friday the 13th movies during the week, leading up to the actual Friday the 13th. So they would show I think they showed the first 4 or 5 films, and then I saw the sixth one on cable. So I saw the first 6 movies, and I think that that was it. I know they made the 8th one when Jason takes my hand. I think the 9th one when he finally dies or something, and the 9th one, and then the 10th one, they brought him back in outer space. It was half robot, half Jason in the 10th one, and I think that's pretty much what they stopped there. And then they had the Freddy vs. Jason movie. They combined the two franchises, the Nightmare on Elm Street and the Friday the 13th series, and they combined it, and they had the two of them have this huge fight, the two of them. And because neither one of them could die, and I think Freddy Krueger was actually said, "Why can't you just die already?" And and he expressed the frustration that a lot of movie critics had with these films is because they got tired of seeing the same stupid thing, movie after movie, not just in Friday the 13th, but Nightmare on Elm Street. By the time Nightmare on Elm Street came out, I think the first one got rave reviews. But then after that, it became the same stupid thing you saw in Nightmare and Friday the 13th and Halloween, because the killers can't die. That's what you want. You want to see the villains die, and enough's enough. You always come up with some crazy way. They always seem to come back from the dead at the end of the film. That's why after a while, Friday the 13th, even though it became a big cult following, especially the first few films. By the time the 4th, 5th, and 6th movies and so on came out, people got sick and tired of those movies already. I'm not going to do. I know I'm not going to do a Nightmare on Elm Street films because I never really saw those films. But I saw Friday the 13th. I always had a fascination with the Friday the 13th films, especially when there is an actual Friday the 13th, and it will be in school, and it would like scare my teachers and, oh, look out for a guy in a hockey mask. Be careful of weirdos in the hockey masks, because it might be the actual Jason, and you might get killed on your way home. So don't give us a bad I said to some of my teachers, don't give me a bad grade, otherwise Jason will get you after school. And naturally, of course, the teachers didn't believe that, and never really got into trouble for that. For saying Jason's going to get you after school if you fail me in the next test. But by then, by the time in the 80s, when I was in high school, the franchise pretty got tired already, as well as Halloween. The Halloween movies came back when I was like a junior in high school. That's when, after the got off a third movie, that's when you had the Return of Michael Myers, and you had the Curse, the Revenge of Michael Myers, and the Curse of Michael Myers. But like I said, people got tired of these movies, and that's why I think now we have the Saw movies, which at first became successful, and then people got tired of it because it's the same stupid rehashed thing. And I never saw the Saw movies because I feel like it's kind of like almost like a rip-off of the other franchises that I grew up with. But like I said, I grew up with these three movie series. But I never really saw Nightmare on Elm Street because I liked either Freddy Krueger or I knew who Freddy Krueger was because I did see clips of those movies on television, but I never really saw the whole thing. Not even the original Nightmare on Elm Street. But I did like the Halloween films and the Friday the 13th films, simply because of it was a little bit scarier. And of course the theme music, and you had the guy in the hockey mask, and you really never saw his face. Unlike in Halloween, where you did see Michael Myers' face for like a couple of brief seconds in like the first movie, and I think later on, one of the other films, you did see his face for like a few seconds. But you never saw what Jason looked like. You never really saw that. So it's kind of like a little bit of a mystery, and that's why I kind of liked that movie. So that's kind of like my review. I know I'm talking about the other movie series more than Friday the 13th, but I still like Friday the 13th. And fortunately, there's no Friday the 13th in this month of October of 2013. There's no Friday the 13th. But I always think that was I think it would be great every time when there was a Friday the 13th in October, because then we have two of the biggest franchises with Michael Myers and Jason in the same month, and I know they did that with the Freddy vs. Jason movie, but they never did one with Michael. They never threw Michael Myers in there, so they have the three of them fighting each other. And that would be cool if they really did that. Have the three biggest or more known, or maybe put in the guy from Saw, the Saw movie guy. You put those four in together and have a real big fight, like a tag team fight or a wrestling match or something. Those four characters. So that's my review of the Friday the 13th movies. Please, like the videos, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time.